Thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. 2 IDF soldiers have been lightly wounded after being hit by a Molotov cocktail during a raid in the West Bank early this morning. The soldiers had been carrying out a raid with the IDF in the Deshe refugee camp just south of Bethlehem, in an effort to arrest 3 men suspected of taking part in violent demonstrations. During the raid, local residents began to throw rocks and firebombs at the soldiers, injuring 2 of them lightly. Israeli forces drove back the assailants with riot dispersal means, and the wounded soldiers are now being treated for their wounds at a Jerusalem hospital. Just a few hours later, the IDF shot down a Palestinian teenager as he was attempting to stab a soldier outside of Hebron. During a search at a checkpoint, the assailant pulled out a knife but was shot before he could injure anybody. The Palestinian Health Ministry has identified him as 16-year-old Issa Salem Tarera, who was allegedly related to terrorist Mohammed Tarera, who stabbed the 13-year-old Israeli girl Halel Ariel to death in her bed in June. The 38-year-old policewoman who was seriously injured in a stabbing attack on Monday outside of Jerusalem's Old City is still being listed in very serious but stable condition. The head of the trauma unit at Shaarei Zedek Medical Center said her life was not in immediate danger, but stressed that the injury was grave. The Israeli security guard underwent complicated surgery on her spinal column, which was hit by the deep penetration of the knife. The extent of her injuries will only be determined in the days to come. A second officer, aged 45, who was also stabbed in the attack near Herod's Gate, was taken in a conscious state to a Jerusalem hospital with multiple stab wounds to his upper body. His condition has been described as moderate. 88 U.S. senators submitted a bipartisan letter on Monday calling for President Barack Obama to uphold U.S. policy that calls for a veto of any one-sided UN Security Council resolutions regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The letter was initiated by Michael Rounds, a Republican from South Dakota, and New York Senator Kristen Gillibrand, a Democrat. The letter quotes Obama's speech to the General Assembly in 2011, in which he said that peace will not come through statements and resolutions at the United Nations. The letter warns the international community not to take action that would harm the prospects for meaningful progress. The memo comes ahead of a meeting between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Obama on Wednesday in New York. Both men will be in the city to address the UN General Assembly. Obama is scheduled to address the gathering on Tuesday, and Netanyahu is set to address the assembly on Thursday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to leave Tuesday afternoon for a 5-day trip to New York, where he'll meet with President Barack Obama on Wednesday, address the General Assembly on Thursday, and meet that same day with outgoing UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Netanyahu's 17th meeting with Obama is expected to be the last before the president leaves office on January 20th, and it's scheduled for Wednesday evening in Obama's Manhattan hotel. Netanyahu said earlier this week that he will use the meeting as an opportunity to thank Obama for the recently signed military aid package that will give Israel $38 billion over a decade beginning in 2019. During his speech to the UN, Netanyahu is expected to discuss Iran's destabilizing activity in the region, the regional upheaval, and the Palestinian issue. Netanyahu is scheduled to leave New York on Sunday evening and arrive back in Israel on Monday. That's all for now. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.